The day my younger sister got married, my own mother looked me in the eyes and told me I wasn't family anymore. I had just arrived at the venue, wearing my best dress and carrying a small gift that had been sitting in my apartment for years, waiting for the right moment. The wedding coordinator checked her tablet, then looked back at me with panic on her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "but your name isn't on the guest list." Before I could even process what she had said, my mother walked over with a smile and calmly asked, "Why would we invite someone who's no longer part of this family?" In that moment, 12 years of sacrifice crashed down around me. What she didn't realize was that every chair, every flower, and every light in that building had been paid for by me. My signature was on every contract, and within hours, her biggest secret was about to destroy everything she had built. My name is Claire Dawson, and for more than a decade, I've worked as an ICU nurse. I've spent countless nights helping strangers survive the worst moments of their lives, but nothing prepared me for what my own family would do to me. 12 years earlier, when I was finishing nursing school, my father died suddenly from a stroke. My younger sister, Emma, was only 15. A few days after the funeral, I found my mother sitting on the kitchen floor, surrounded by unpaid bills. The mortgage was overdue, debt was piling up, and she was terrified that we'd lose our home. That night, she grabbed my hand and begged for my help. "We'll get through this," she said, "but Emma can never know how bad things are. She deserves a normal life." I agreed without hesitation. I loved my sister more than anything, and I promised to protect her, no matter what it cost me. After graduating, I accepted exhausting overnight shifts because they paid better. Every month, nearly half of my salary went directly into my mother's account. I paid the mortgage, fixed the house when things broke, bought Emma's braces, paid for school trips, and eventually covered her entire college tuition. But my mother insisted that nobody could know the truth. To the rest of the world, she became the strong widow who had saved her family after tragedy, while I slowly disappeared into the background. As the years passed, Emma and I drifted apart. I missed birthdays because of hospital shifts, skipped holidays because I was working, and somehow every family event happened without me. Whenever people asked where I was, my mother would simply say, "Claire doesn't care about family anymore." Little by little, my sister started believing it too. Then, years later, Emma got engaged. One evening, my mother called me with tears in her voice. Emma had found her dream wedding venue, but they couldn't afford it. Without thinking, I paid the entire $21,000 bill. Since the venue required the person paying to sign the paperwork, my name was placed on every contract. At the time, I thought I was giving my sister the happiest day of her life. I had no idea that decision would soon expose 12 years of lies. 8 weeks before the wedding, something unexpected arrived in my mailbox. An invitation from Emma herself. At the bottom, she'd written 4 words in her own handwriting. "Please come. I miss you." For the first time in years, I thought maybe things could finally be fixed. I had no idea that on the morning of the wedding, my mother had already decided to erase me from the family forever. For weeks, I held on to the hope that Emma's handwritten note meant things were finally changing between us. Even though I wasn't invited to the dress fittings, the planning lunches, or the rehearsal dinner, I kept telling myself that the wedding day would be different. Deep down, I still believed my little sister loved me and that all the distance between us was just a misunderstanding. So, after my mother threw me out of the venue, I sat alone in my car, staring at the steering wheel and wondering where everything had gone wrong. For 12 years, I had sacrificed my time, my money, and even my relationship with my own family, yet somehow I had become the outsider. As I drove away, the wedding coordinator returned to her office and began reviewing the paperwork. That's when she realized something shocking. The official client responsible for the entire wedding wasn't my mother. It was me. My signature was on every contract. According to company policy, removing the paying client from the event without written permission was a serious violation. Panicking, she immediately informed the venue manager, who ordered her to stop the ceremony until the situation was resolved. Meanwhile, upstairs, Emma was getting ready to walk down the aisle, completely unaware of the chaos spreading through the building. Her fiancé, Ethan, was called into a private room where the coordinator explained everything. At first, he refused to believe it. "There must be some mistake," he said. "Emma's mother paid for this wedding." Without saying a word, the coordinator slid the contract across the table. Ethan stared at my signature in disbelief. Standing beside him was his father, Richard. The moment he heard my name, his expression changed. 2 years earlier, Richard had suffered a massive heart attack and spent weeks in intensive care. I had been one of the nurses assigned to him. He still remembered the long nights when I sat beside him, encouraging him not to give up. Looking at the contract, he quietly said, "Claire saved my life. She's the last person who would abandon her family." By now, guests had started whispering as the ceremony was delayed. Emma sensed that something was wrong and demanded an explanation. When Ethan showed her the paperwork, she looked confused. "Why is Claire's name on the contract?" she asked. My mother tried to avoid the question, but Emma refused to let it go. Finally, in front of everyone, the truth started coming out. My mother admitted that I had paid for the wedding. Then she admitted that I had secretly covered Emma's college tuition. Moments later, she confessed that I had been helping with the mortgage ever since our father died. With every new revelation, Emma's face filled with shock. The story she had believed for 12 years was falling apart right in front of her eyes. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she turned to my mother and asked the question that changed everything. "If Claire did all of that for us, why did you make me believe she didn't care?" My mother had no answer. A few minutes later, my phone rang. I looked at the screen and saw Emma's name. My hands trembled as I answered. On the other end, all I could hear was crying. After a long silence, she finally whispered, "Please tell me the truth. Was everything they said real?" For a few seconds, I couldn't answer. I was sitting alone in my car, parked on the side of the road, trying to understand how my entire family had fallen apart in a single afternoon. Then I took a deep breath and quietly said, "Yes." The line went silent. Emma started crying even harder. She kept apologizing, saying she never knew the truth, that she honestly believed I had stopped caring about her years ago. Hearing the pain in her voice hurt more than being thrown out of the wedding itself. For 12 years, I thought I was protecting my sister by staying silent, but all I had really done was allow someone else to tell my story. "Please come back," Emma whispered. "I need to see you." I closed my eyes and tightened my grip on the steering wheel. Part of me wanted to drive away and never look back. I was exhausted from carrying a burden that nobody even knew existed. But another part of me remembered the promise I had made to my father and the 15-year-old girl who had lost him. A few minutes later, I turned the car around and headed back to the venue. When I arrived, the celebration had completely stopped. Guests stood around in confused silence, whispering to each other. Emma was waiting near the entrance in her wedding dress, holding our father's old wristwatch, the gift I had planned to give her before everything went wrong. The moment she saw me, she ran forward and wrapped her arms around me. We stood there crying, mourning the years we had lost because of lies and misunderstandings. Then Emma stepped back, looked into my eyes, and asked, "Will you walk me down the aisle?" I was speechless. Just hours earlier, I had been told that I wasn't family, yet now my sister was asking me to stand beside her on the most important day of her life. I nodded, unable to say anything else. Together, we walked down the same path where I had been rejected only a few hours before. Every guest stood up as we passed. No revenge speech was necessary. No public argument could have been more powerful than the truth finally coming into the open. My mother sat silently in the front row, watching everything she had hidden for 12 years collapse in front of her. The respect and admiration she had received for years disappeared in a single afternoon, replaced by the painful reality of what she had done. After the ceremony, my mother approached me with tears in her eyes and apologized for everything. She admitted that, after my father's death, She had been terrified of losing control and slowly allowed herself to believe the lies she told everyone else. I forgave her, but I also told her that forgiveness doesn't erase the damage caused by years of deception. Trust takes years to build and only moments to destroy. That day taught me something I will never forget. Silence may feel like love, but if you stay silent long enough, someone else will write your story for you. Real love doesn't hide in the shadows forever. Eventually, the truth finds its way into the light, and when it does, no lie is strong enough to survive it. My mother thought she had erased me from my sister's life, but in the end, the truth became the revenge she never saw coming.